Hello, lovely people. It is a beautiful day here at the meeting place of heaven and earth. The sun is coming out from behind those clouds. Mount Shasta is looking beautiful. It is a great day to be here with you. God and Goddess, thank you so much for this lovely day. Thank you so much for the sun and the warmth that it provides for us. Thank you for the nutrients and all the spiritual illumination that the sun can also bring for us. Please help us to remember that and to spend time with the sun and to also move as a whole of humanity towards that solar future that is promised in Enoch, that blessed future where we understand the sun and its blessings that it has for us. We use it to power the earth and empower ourselves. Please help us to remember why we came here and to take steps to align ourselves with our soul's purpose. Please provide a way for us to leave the matrix and to get to where we need to be. Help us to find the place that our soul is going to be uplifted, where we can sustain ourselves and feed ourselves and really get back to the Garden of Eden as it was intended to be. Thank you so much for this gift of life and for all of the lovely blessings that you have given us. Thank you for all the lessons that we learn and for being there with us as we learn them. Thank you so much for the forgiveness and love that you give us as well, your grace. Please help us to extend that grace to other people and to show them the love that you have for us all. In the name of Elohim, I pray, amen. Today on the Nasarean calendar, it is Heritage Day. I love this day. I mean, I love all of the days, but I really aspire to be the best mother ever. And so I love that there's a whole day dedicated to heritage and really examining all of the things of the past and seeing what things are good and what things need to be left in the past. Here is the noontime peace contemplation on our screen. Our God and Goddess, immanent and transcendent, send to all your angel of peace. May wisdom guide us as we accept or reject things from the past. May your angel of wisdom bless all that we pass on to the future. Amen. Awesome. Let me turn this off. Cool. Hey, Kyle, how's it going? Dave says, it looks lovely. Thanks, Dave. Bob says, how's it going, eh? Going great, Bob. Hopefully you're having some nice weather up there in Canada. David D says, please, God and Goddess, guide us to transform this world into a garden paradise. Amen. So be it. Before we jump into our reading for the day, I have a gift here from Kyle that I promised to open at the beginning of my stream. On the screen, I put my address in case you ever want to send me some snail mail. I love getting mail. It's so much fun, especially in like handwritten letters. Like, when was the last time that you got a handwritten letter? I think I'm actually going to try to develop a handwritten system in order to basically ensure that, for instance, if for some reason I was kicked off of Facebook or whatever, that people can still contact me and have some sort of system for the Green Lion Army to be able to communicate through. Da-da-da-da. Oh, cool. Not sure if sometimes they have these little gift. Enjoy your gift from Kyle. Thank you. Let's see. Hopefully I remember to take my address off there, but if not, oh well. It can stay the whole time. Oh, wow, this is fancy. This is really fancy. It has some sort of electronic aspect to it. Sorry if this is crinkling really loud in your ears. Hopefully not, but this is pretty. Oh, wow. Look at that. We were talking recently about Well, I was talking about recently about how many things that I have to do, and Kyle asked if I had somewhere to write all of these things down, and I said no. And so now, thank you, Kyle. This is really cool. I'm not sure. Is this a light? That is really, really cool. Power bank notebook instruction manual. Sweet. Pen holder. This is a light. And then different cables to plug in. This is really, really cool. Thank you, Kyle. Wow, I've actually never seen anything like that before. I dressed really warm today, and I didn't know that the sun was going to be so hot. So hopefully it doesn't get too hot for me here. And some extra paper, which is going to be really helpful as well in order to get my planning together. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Nice pen. Yeah, this is really cool. Thank you. I love that. I'll put that back together in a Virgo way sometime later. Cool. Kyle says that you can charge your phone on it too if you lay your phone on the top of it. Wow, that's so cool. It's really cool, the inventions that they have come up with these days and the ability that we have to take all of our electronics on the go. Thank you so much, Kyle. I love that. Today, we are going to be reading about the birth and childhood of Lady Christ, Jahnah come as Miriam. This is from the Nasarean Bible of the Essene Way, translated by Day of Greenleaf and available at essene.org. I have to get the details ironed out, but like I mentioned before, I am planning on doing some sort of little raffle to give away at least one Holy Megillah after the 2026 version is released. So stay tuned for that. Let's see here. Cool. We are going to start with chapter 8 then. The birth and childhood of the Lady Christ, Jahnah come as Miriam. She who took birth on earth and was called the Magdalene is not only the watchtower of the flock and good shepherdess, but also the mother of the flock. Yea, she is my mother and your mother. Jahnah, the mother of all beings, except the first Trinity, and Jahdeh, for Jalah is her mother, and Jah and Jalah emanated from Yah, the original being. Behold, the fruit of the deep contemplation of Jah was the divine plan. And from the divine plan came the way of creation. And the way is the great dance of the masculine and the feminine, which is the dance of Jah and Jalah, and the dance of Jahdeh and Jahnah. Lo, because Jah and Jalah were in bliss, enjoying the bliss of personal being in all being, which is the mystery of the individual and the all, they desired to share the bliss of personal being in all being with countless beings who they would create. And they knew that they would create a plan for their children to be and become according to the axiom of becoming, which is be, do, become. And that place was the mother ovum. But they knew that they must remain outside the mother ovum like a hen over her egg. Wherefore they performed zimsum and emanation, creating the void called space and leaving within the only directly emanated son of Jah, and at his side, the only directly emanated daughter of Jalah. And the name of the son is Jahdeh, and the name of the daughter is Jahnah. And Jahdeh is the supreme personality of the divine masculine immanent. And Jahnah is the supreme personality of the divine feminine immanent. And through the transcendental intercourse of Jahdeh and Jahnah, all beings within the mother ovum are created. And the intercourse of Jahdeh and Jahnah is not incest, because Jahdeh was directly emanated by Jah, and Jahnah was directly emanated by Jalah. Wherefore the son of Jah and the daughter of Jalah are eligible for intercourse. And as it is told in Matana, through union with Jahnah, Jahdeh came into union with Jalah. And through union with Jahdeh, Jahnah came into union with Jalah. As it is written in Genesis 5:17 and 18, Jah said, when Jahdeh, the only directly begotten son of Jah, has union with Jahnah, he will take within himself the feminine element of Jalah, and will then always be of both Jah and Jalah. And as it is written, Jalah said, when Jahnah, the only directly begotten daughter of Jalah, has union with Jahdeh, she will take within herself the masculine element of Jah, and will then always be of both Jah and Jalah. Wherefore it is truly said, Jahdeh is the son of Jah and Jalah. And likewise, truly it is said, Jahnah is the daughter of Jah and Jalah. Yea, Jahdeh and Jahnah are the way of creation conceived by Jah in the divine plan. Their dance of transcendental intercourse created every being within the mother ovum. Behold, the masculine pole Jahdeh has within him a spark of the feminine, but being a bit more masculine is of the masculine spin. And the feminine pole, Jahnah, has within her a spark of the masculine, but being a bit more feminine is of the feminine spin. Kind of like that yin and yang symbol, right? It is that bit of difference that creates the motion of the dance and makes possible creation. That motion is the spiral dance, which is the Sa'ara, the creative whirlwind. And the Sa'ara is the breathing of Jah, each out-breath being Jahdeh, each in-breath being Jahnah. And Yah is the stillness between the breaths. And that stillness is true zero, the center and circumference of the masculine and feminine. From the Sa'ara, which is the dance of Jahdeh and Jahnah, which is the dance of light, comes forth Nitzot Ha'or, sparks of light. And each spark of light is a seed of light, a Zera Ha'or. And each seed of light is a soul, a Nefesh. And each soul is created in the likeness and image of Elohim. And Elohim, the Lord Christ and Lady Christ, who are Jahdeh and Jahnah, are themselves created in the image and likeness of the first Trinity, which is Yah, Jah, and Jalah. And she who came to our world as the Magdalene, the watchtower of the flock, is Jahnah, who we call Miriam. Yea, Miriam the Magdalene is our mother. Praise the mother. Behold her incarnation. When our mother entered the place wherein souls wait to enter incarnation in this world, she found it infested by parasites. For demonic entities had infiltrated this place, and the Lady Christ cast them out. And then the lady made an incantation of banishment that the parasites not return to that place. Then our mother, the Lady Christ, entered the womb of Zibiah. For lo, though her soul was the daughter of Jah and mother of our souls, her body was the daughter of man. And the birth of the Lady Christ was as follows. Behold, at the time of the birth of the Lady Christ, most Nasarean encampments were in Judea, Samaria, and Galilee. But at this time, there were also small Nasarean encampments in India, Egypt, and Ethiopia. And there were missions in other lands. Lo, the Nasarean encampment in Ethiopia was called Eden, in remembrance of the Garden of Eden, which had been in Cush. For behold, the land that was called Cush, which came to be called Ethiopia, has had many names and many boundaries. Even so, to Nazareans, this land will always be Cush. for that name came from the tongue of cherubim. Behold, in the Nasarean village of Eden were some families long devoted to the order of the Immaculate Conception. For lo, Eden was a tributary home campus of that order. Now, besides the Nazareans, there were many Aaronite Jews in Ethiopia. Yea, the Aaronites greatly outnumbered the Nazareans and hated the Nazareans. And the Aaronites were greatly outnumbered by the natives of Ethiopia, who were neither Nazarean nor Aaronite, but practiced their own pagan rites of various varieties. Like the Nazareans, some of the natives worshipped both a god and goddess, and venerated the nature spirits. Wherefore they respected the Nazareans and felt kinship with them. Yea, and these natives admired the discipline and holiness of the Nazareans. Wherefore these natives tried to protect the Nazareans from the violence and persecution of the Aaronites. Behold, within the Nazarean encampment were prophets. And shortly before the birth of the holy babe Miriam, a prophet went forth from Eden and walked amongst the natives of Ethiopia. And he prophesied the coming of the queen, saying, Behold, a queen shall be born to an Ethiopian woman of the Nazareans. Yea, not a queen with a worldly kingdom, but the queen of the all. Our Lady, our goddess, shall enter the world through the purified womb of an Ethiopian woman and the purified seed of an Ethiopian man. Behold, our goddess comes not as a goddess, but as a perfected woman. And all women who embrace her teachings will find perfection. And all men who humble themselves to learn from her will find wisdom indeed. Behold, our queen shall be birthed from an Ethiopian womb. But the holy mother of our goddess will flee to Galilee, for the Aaronites shall slay her holy husband in Ethiopia, and will hunt her like an animal. And from that day unto the end of time, any Ethiopian who gives aid to the Nasarean remnant gives aid to our goddess and her holy mission. This aid is in deed and truth, and will not go unrewarded. And this prophet had no name, being called by the people simply the prophet. Lo, the word of the prophet was spread from village to village. In the Nasarean encampment of Eden, there was great excitement, for behold, this was the 6th generation since the founding of the Order of the Immaculate Conception. And according to the words of the angel Gabriel, this generation would give birth to the 7th generation bodies suitable for the incarnations of the Lord and Lady. Though only Omen, our Jahnah, could know for certain, a number of bloodlines had apparently maintained the required level of purity for 6 consecutive generations. One of the young women from such a bloodline was named Zibia. And sorry about that. One of the young women from such a bloodline was named Zibia, and Zibia was of a pure Ethiopian bloodline, as was her husband, Zamira, a harp player, though their names were Hebrew from Nasarean scriptures written in that tongue. And lo, it was from the purified womb of Zibia and the purified seed of Zamira that a holy babe Miriam came forth into the world. And the birth of our goddess imminent, Jahnah as Miriam, was as followed. Behold, the holy day ordained by Omen for the coming into the world of our goddess had come. 2 Nasarean midwives came to the home of Zibia and Zamira, and a Nasarean prophet and a prophetess who were friends and teachers of the holy couple read from sacred scrolls. Yea, the wise one uttered words of prophecy. And all 6 who were present, including the holy couple, chanted prayers and sang songs. What a lovely way to have a child rather than the beeping noise of all these hospital machines and the just impersonality of all of that. Zamira played his harp, the sound of which was as though from heaven. Lo, the home was filled with love and light, and it was as though this home were a holy temple. And when the time had come for Zibiah to give birth, she did so in the manner of the Nasareans, squatting with her back leaning on Zemira, who was on his knees behind her. With great joy, the Holy Mother Zibiah gave birth to baby Miriam, Queen of the All. And so it was that the Queen of Heaven came to earth in Ethiopia, the most ancient land in Eden. Of Eden, sorry. The Holy Child grew strong, nourished by the milk of the Holy Mother Zibiah, then by the fleshless foods of the Nazareans. And that food was anointed with the oil of the holy hemp seed, after the manner of the Nazareans. Yea, and she was nourished also by the celestial harp of the Holy Father Zemira. For lo, there had never been one who played the harp with the transcendental grace of this Ethiopian man. And never was there a man who could sing as much like an angel as Zemira. The Holy Child sat with Zemira each day, singing and learning to play the harp. Her voice exceeded even his in transcendental excellence. And soon, even her harp playing exceeded his. This next section is called Peaceful Childhood Stories about Miriam, the wondrous girl child. And I wanted to put this picture up here. This is from Day's book, Essene Joy Yoga. And look at how beautiful Miriam is. She's just so, so cute. Priestess Cerise did this artwork, and man, this picture just inspires joy within. Such a beautiful little girl. For a time, Miriam enjoyed a peaceful childhood. She played in nature with the creatures of old Eden, for to her they revealed themselves. She healed people and animals, often by the sound of her voice. She studied with an aged Yidioni, a wizard, a maskil, teacher, from Alexandria named Bar Hesed, son of kindness. These were peaceful, happy years. Here follows a sampling of stories from the years of the peaceful child of Miriam, the wondrous girl child. Miriam was goddess come as woman to show the way of perfected womanhood. Wherefore it was necessary that she veil much of her transcendental light. Yea, much of her light was veiled when she was born into this world. Even so, much light was within her human form. Yea, even unveiled, the light within her was so bright that if she released too much at once, it could blind them of this world, even as staring at the sun can blind a man. By the time Miriam was an older child, she had learned to perfectly release her light. But lo, when she was still a very small child, 3 times she blinded people with her light. Fortunately, the blessed child then healed each of the 3 of their blindness. That story is as follows. When but a toddler, Miriam was playing in the garden. She beheld a hummingbird and experienced a joyous rapture. Yea, she was carried away with such love and joy and appreciation that bright light radiated from her. The light was so bright that a man working in the garden, when he gazed at the toddler Miriam, saw nothing but a bright light. And the light was so bright, like the sun, that it blinded his eyes. When Miriam heard the man screaming that he had been blinded, she veiled her light. Then she touched the man's eyes, and he could see. Another time, the toddler Miriam witnessed a mother dog playing with her puppy. When the mother dog kissed the puppy, Miriam laughed with such heartfelt joy that the owner of the dog looked directly at her. Behold, she was in a state of joyous rapture and shone like the sun. The light around her was so bright that the owner of the dog was blinded. When she heard him cry out that he was blind, the holy toddler wept tears of compassion for him. Then she walked over to where the man had fallen onto his back. As she bent over him, one of her tears landed upon his forehead. The man was healed of his blindness. Once, when Miriam was a toddler, her father, Zemira, put her on his back and let her ride on him as if he were an elephant. Miriam was delighted. Then, when Zemira pretended that he had a big trunk like an elephant, Miriam laughed with such joy that she shone like the sun. Her mother, Zebiah, looked at the joyous toddler and was blinded by the light. Miriam ran and embraced her mother's leg. With the touch of Miriam, Zebiah was healed. Miriam and the unicorn of Madheba. Once, while playing in the woods behind her home, the toddler Miriam was translated to Madheba, the highest heaven within the mother ovum. By this we mean that she was suddenly no longer in the woods behind her home in this world, but was in Madheba, which means golden realm in the tongue of the cherubim. There she was greeted by a beautiful unicorn named Starlight. Miriam said to Starlight, "I remember you. You have for countless ages been my dear friend." Starlight nodded in agreement, then said, "When you went to be born on earth, you bid me to wait in Madheba for your return. But this is too soon for your return, for you will live to be a grown woman on earth before returning for me on Madheba. Why have you now come while still a small child?" Miriam replied, "I was remembering you while playing in the garden behind my home. When I recalled your face, behold, I was here." The unicorn of Madheba and Miriam, the earth child, played a while. Then Starlight said, "You must return to earth, but I will meet you here again at the appointed time. But behold, some of my kind still live on earth, along with other creatures of old Eden, though they may reveal themselves not to most humans. They will reveal themselves to you. Find them, and you will have playmates." Miriam thought of Mother Zebiah back on earth. Then, as suddenly as she had come to Madheba, she was back on earth. At the moment she returned to the garden on earth, her mother, Zebiah, peeked over at her from the row she was weeding. Zebiah never knew that Miriam had been gone, for behold, time in Madheba is not like time in our world. Lo, Miriam had enjoyed a nice long playtime with Starlight, but only the blink of an eye had passed in our world. Just to show you this really quick, the golden realm is actually inside, the highest heaven inside of the mother ovum, but we also have the heaven most high, which is outside of the mother ovum. Some might refer to that as the cosmic ocean. That is all that is existing outside of the mother ovum. So heaven most high and heaven within the mother ovum. A little bit different there. Behold, it is an ancient Nasarean tradition to celebrate, this section is called The Magical Fifth Birthday, Miriam and the Unicorns of Old Eden, and the gift of a pentagram pendant from Bar Hesed on her first day of butterfly school. Behold, it is an ancient Nasarean tradition to celebrate the anniversary of our birth each year. At this time, we give thanks to Yahweh for our life, the life of this lifetime, and the eternal life of our spirit. Yea, we dive into the ecstasy of the great appreciation. Also, at this time, we commune deeply with the angel of holy work, offering ourselves as hands and feet of the Lord and Lady, and seeking guidance to work out our life purpose. Lo, the angel of holy work will help us do these things any time of any day. Even so, it is wise to seek an especially deep communion with this angel on the anniversary of our human birth. Behold, it is also a Nasarean tradition to celebrate the anniversary of our birth by giving a gift of appreciation to Yahweh in the form of a good deed well done on this day. This can be as simple as giving a gift to another or helping another in some way. Even the offering up of a special prayer on behalf of another will fulfill this obligation. It is also Nasarean custom to graciously receive any gifts that our friends and loved ones may choose to bestow on the anniversary of our birth as a token of their appreciation for our life. Even so, our focus should be on the giving of a gift to Yahweh on the anniversary of our birth, not on what gifts others may choose to bestow upon us. Just a quick pause. For a short time as a truther, when I woke up, I was under the impression that birthdays were demonic and, satanic self-worship, all of these type things. So I really love that stark contrast that we're reading about here and how we use it to celebrate life. It's not worshiping yourself. It's just celebrating the gift of life that you get to exist. It's a great gift. It was on the occasion of the celebration of her 5th birthday that Miriam first met a unicorn of Old Eden on this world. Previously, when but a toddler, Miriam had met a unicorn of the heavenly world, Madheba, which is the highest heaven of the mother ovum. Yea, and is the primordial Eden we call Mother of Delight, which is the mother of every Eden in every heaven of our world. That unicorn was her old friend from countless pastimes, Starlight. And Starlight told her that though it was not yet time for Starlight to visit the earth or for Miriam to return to Madheba, there were other unicorns from Old Eden still living on earth. Yea, and Starlight said that these unicorns would be little Miriam's playmates. Here follows the story of Miriam's first encounter with the unicorn of Old Eden. Behold, this story also is the account of her first day at butterfly school and the gift given her by Bar Hesed, the wizard. Lo, the occasion of Miriam's 5th birthday was her first day of study within Beit, Ha-Pa-Parim, the house of butterflies, which is called Butterfly School. Behold, this is the children's school within Essene Mountain of Peace, the Nasarean Butterfly School. Before the age of 5, Nasarean children are taught informally by their parents. But at the age of 5, a Nasarean begins formal learning within Butterfly School, a name that pleases small children and has profound meaning. Yea, the term Butterfly School has profound meaning. For behold, in the manner that the caterpillar first crawls and then takes to the air as a butterfly, so is the path of the student. Yea, and so is the path of a well-lived human life. Sorry about that. Behold, the goals of the lessons within the house of butterflies are called the bikurim, which means the first fruits. And the first goal of the lessons is to teach Hesed, which means kindness. Wherefore, Hesed is called the Bikur, which means the first fruit. For lo, what good is any knowledge if one has not a foundation in kindness? And so it was that on her 5th birthday, Miriam showed up at the teaching house for beginning students. A wise sage from Alexandria named Bar Hesed, which means son of kindness, was the master teacher of the house of butterflies. And though he usually taught the older children, he also taught the first few lessons of each new student before introducing them to the teacher for their age group. This he did so that he could make friends with each new student and get a feel for their needs and interests. Wherefore, he was the teacher for Miriam's first day at the House of Butterflies. And from that day on, because he recognized her unusual capabilities and even perceived her true identity, Bar Hesed often gave Miriam special tutoring. Yea, on her first day, he called her Bat Kol, which means daughter of the voice, in recognition of the healing power of her voice. And she was known by that name throughout her schooling in the Mountain of Peace, and also by her birth name, Miriam. On her first day of butterfly school, Bar Hesed taught Miriam about kindness. Yea, he taught her about the 5 precepts of kindness for people of the upright star. The first precept of kindness is as follows. Be kind to all creatures as you wish kindness done to you. For so will it be done, if not in this life, then in the life to come. At the end of her first day at butterfly school, behold, Bar Hesed gave her a gift. And this gift was in celebration of her 5th birthday and in recognition of her first day of butterfly school. It was a pentagram pendant, which is the symbol of the 5 precepts of kindness and the human being perfected in love. I'm just going to take a quick detour to read from the Holy Godspell 16, just so that we can go through all of the precepts of kindness, because I love these ones. We already read it, precept 1. Precept 2, forgive yourself the trespass that is bound with being human. Even the vegetarian is not without violence. Yea, even the holy farmer disturbs the ant nest, and the gentle gardener occasionally kills a worm, for this comes with breaking the ground. Forgive yourself the trespass bound with being human, but lovingly walk the path of kindness with all your heart and strength, taking what steps you can toward ever-increasing kindness toward all living beings. Precept 3, truly hope for the best for all humans, or all beings, human and non-human. But know that what is truly best for a being and what a being may believe is best may not be one and the same. Truly hope for what is truly best for each being, leaving it up to Jahnah to determine what is best. For behold, a hunter might believe it best that he slay many creatures, but Jahnah may believe it best that he cease killing. Precept 4, wed your kind hopes with daily deeds of kindness. And 5, to grow steadily in kindness, one thing is most needful. You must truly desire with all your heart to be kind. Man, what a better world we'd be living in if that was taught on day 1 of school, right? Love, love, love that. Cool. I need to go back to the text here. Outside of the teaching house for her age group, which was near the house, the other teaching houses for other age groups, was a vast garden and an orchard. After receiving her gift from Bar Hesed at the end of her first day, Miriam played in the garden outside the teaching house while she waited for her mother, Zibiah. There were other children playing in the garden, but none in the orchard. Miriam walked into the orchard and sang the words of the first sentence of the first precept of kindness. Then, behold, she was suddenly surrounded by 5 unicorns of old Eden. Lo, the unicorns formed a circle around Miriam and sang with her. One unicorn said, we 5 unicorns now symbolize the 5 points of the star, and you are our heart. For the center of the star is the heart of kindness, and you are the mother of kindness, come in the form of daughter. Then they danced with her and took turns giving her rides. Miriam said, I am riding a unicorn. What a wonderful birthday gift. I am truly blessed and give heartfelt thanks to Jahnah for my life. Tonight before bed, I will commune with the angel of holy work and ask that my life work be revealed unto me. Then, behold, the unicorns each gave her a kiss on the cheek and then vanished as Mother Zibiah approached the orchard. On the walk home, Miriam told her mother about how wonderful was butterfly school. That night, Miriam gifted her mother and father with acts of kindness, cleaning the house and drawing them a picture of the tree of life. Then, with her mother's permission, Miriam took a gift of fruit to an elderly widow who lived nearby. The joy of the elderly widow was such that Miriam felt even happier than when she had received her own birthday gifts. Such is the secret that is no secret to eyes that see. Such is the way of heaven. You have been handed the golden key, but did you notice? The golden key unlocks the door of heaven only when used. These verses are for you when you recognize that they are for you. Only then can you use the key that is offered. Until then, you are in spiritual poverty. Until then, you remain in pain. After then, heaven is within you wherever you roam. And only then you may enter the heavenly world peopled by heavenly beings. Take refuge in such worlds on occasion. On other occasions, travel to contested worlds and teach the way. Jahnah and Elohim want both for you. How cool is that too, that she was at 5 years old and she's like, when I go home tonight, I am going to go home and pray to the angel of holy work and ask that my holy work be revealed to me. I love that. The Enchanted Garden, 7 gifts from the Elohim to Miriam on the occasion of her 7th birthday, with the gifts of Gabriel and Ishael. On her 7th birthday, Miriam was in the bliss of performing an act of kindness to celebrate the gift of life. After feeding some hungry ants tiny crumbs of bread, Miriam was lifted unto El Cush. Yea, in the blink of an eye, she was translated to the first heaven of our world. She stood in the midst of an enchanted garden. Behold, before her was the tree of life, and beneath its branches stood Ishael and 14 Elohim. Here's our little picture of Ishael that I generated before, and the Elohim are elves. And so I just wanted to give you a little maybe picture of what they may look like. The Elohim serve as helpers of the tree of life in many worlds. Lo, each Aleph was birthed in Madheba, which is the highest heaven within the mother ovum and is the Elohim homeland. Madheba is the primal center of the mother ovum. Bring the picture back up so that you can see, maybe. Cool. Madheba is the primal center of the mother ovum, where at first Zimsam was performed by Jah and Jala before they ascended to surround the mother ovum in heaven most high. Madheba is the highest heaven within the mother ovum, but heaven most high is still higher, being the abode of Jah and Jala that is outside of the mother ovum. The Elohim are born in Madheba, yea, and often take refreshment there for long periods, but also reach out to serve the tree of life in many worlds. For lo, they are the vanguard of the body of Christ, the chief helpers of the Lord and Lady. No Aleph has ever fallen into evil. They were the first creatures created from the dance of the Lord and Lady, and have never fallen into a hell world. Though hell worlds they may visit on mercy missions. Yea, the Elohim, like the unicorns, are children of the embrace of the Lord and Lady who have never fallen and are thus exalted. Even so, in their own exaltation of humility, they serve as helpers to the chief angels of the tree of life in each world, rather than as the chiefs. For it is the will of Lord and Lady that the chief angels of the branches and roots in each world be from that world. Wherefore, in Madheba, the Alephim are the chief angels of the tree of life in that heaven, but in lower heavens serve in humility as helpers to the chiefs. Wherefore, the chief angels in each world are not without the wisest counsel, for they are helped by Alephim, the most trusted servants of the Lord and Lady. Behold, the chief angel of a branch or root is not the force that is represented by that branch or root, but is the chief servant of that force. And the Alephim also serve as the overseers of the elementals that serve the tree of life, being masters of the marriage of the elements and forces, even as unicorns are the overseers of the animal spirits that serve the tree of life. Also, the Alephim serve as overseers of the fairy folk that serve the tree of life, and as advisors to the Nasarean wizards who serve the tree of life. But just as important as all their other duties, the Alephim are grand comedians, able even to gift the Lord and Lady with happy laughter of a pleasant nature. And in our world and in Elkush, the Alephim serve Isha El, for she is the chief angel of Mother Earth. And the 14 Alephim that stood beside Isha El in Elkush on the occasion of Miriam's 7th birthday are not the only Alephim that serve the tree of life in Elkush and in our world, but are the overseers of the Alephim who serve the 7 branches and 7 roots. Yea, on her 7th birthday, Miriam was lifted unto Elkush, and there she stood in the midst of an enchanted garden. And before her was the tree of life, and beneath its branches stood Isha El and 14 Alephim. Behold, this was the garden of old Eden, which was raised to Elkush at the time of the fall of mankind. Isha El spoke unto Miriam, saying, Happy is the coming of the mother as daughter of mankind. Happy are we to celebrate her 7th year in the garb of human flesh. One cycle ends, another begins, for such is the meaning of the sacred number 7. Lo, Isha El sang to Miriam a song. She sang with voice like unto forest and flowers, water and winds. And these are the words she sang. One cycle ends, another begins. In the sacred 7, the triangle and square are wed. Sacred fulfillment, completion is found. One cycle ends, another begins with new birth. The dance of 7s, and bliss continues. After Isha El sang her song, she took Miriam by the hand and led her to the center of the circle of Alephim. The 14 Alephim danced in a circle around Isha El and Miriam. As they danced, they sang this song. Blessed is her coming, blessed is her dance. Blessed is the mother, come as daughter of man. The 14 Alephim were in 7 pairs after the pattern of the mating of the branches and roots of the tree of life. Then, behold, each pair of Alephim gave the holy girl a gift. And each gift was from the enchanted garden of Elkush. And the manner of the giving was as follows. On the screen, you'll see the Nasarean alphabet, and these Alephim have the names of these 7 doubles. So I just wanted to share that before we start. The first pair of Alephim to give a gift were named Bet and Bet. Bet is male and serves the angel of the sun root of the tree of life. Bet is female and serves the angel of the power branch of the tree of life. Together, Bet and Bet danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred gemstone. Behold, the stone was a red ruby. The second pair of Alaphim to give a gift were Gimel El and Gimel El. Gimel El is male and serves the angel of the soil root of the tree of life. Gimel El is female and serves the angel of the eternal life branch of the tree of life. Oops. Together, Gimel El and Gimel El danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred stone. Behold, the stone was an orange spessartine garnet. The third pair of Alaphim to give a gift were Dalet El and Dalet El. Dalet El is male and serves the angel of the joy root of the tree of life. Dalet El is female and serves the angel of the peace branch of the tree of life. Together, Dalet El and Dalet El danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred gemstone. Behold, the stone was a yellow quartz. The fourth pair of Alaphim to give the gift were Kaf-El and Kaf-El. Kaf-El is male and serves the angel of the water root of the tree of life. Kaf-El is female and serves the angel of the love branch of the tree of life. Together, Kaf-El and Kaf-El danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred gemstone. Behold, the stone was a green emerald. The fifth pair of Alaphim to give a gift were Pe'el and Pe'el. Pe'el is male and serves the angel of the life root of the tree of life. Pe'el is female and serves the angel of the work branch of the tree of life. Together, Pe'el and Pe'el danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred gemstone. Behold, the stone was a blue sapphire. The sixth pair of Alaphim to give the gift were Rachel and Rachel. Rachel is male and serves the angel of the air root of the tree of life. Rachel is female and serves the angel of the wisdom branch of the tree of life. Together, Rachel and Rachel danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred gemstone. Behold, the stone was a purple amethyst. Oh no, sorry. The seventh pair of Alaphim to give a gift were Tavel and Tavel. Tavel is male and serves the angel of the center root of the tree of life. Tavel is a female and serves the angel of the center branch of the tree of life. Together, Tavel and Tavel danced before Miriam. Then together they gave her the gift of their dance, a sacred gemstone. Behold, the stone was a white crystal. Miriam thanked the Alaphim for their gifts, then said, I will share the gifts of these stones with others today. For behold, it is the Nasarean way of celebrating one's birth. It is the Nasarean way of celebrating one's birth to give as well as to receive. For in giving, we receive inner peace. The greatest givers are the most at peace. Yea, even when hell wages war against the giver is at peace within. Even so, Jahnah wishes us to enjoy both receiving and giving gifts, though our thoughts should dwell on giving, not receiving. I also have this graphic here to show you the different helpers and how they correspond with the different roots and branches. And you can see how they are, female and males. Quite an interesting little division there. Then lo, the angel Gabriel, messenger of the center branch, which is the branch of Jahnah and Elohim, appeared before the tree of life. Yea, he stood beside his wife Ishael, the messenger of the center root. Gabriel spoke unto the holy child Miriam, saying, Behold, I bring you a gift. I bring you the oil of holy jasmine, which is a symbol of Jah, the divine masculine transcendent. For lo, even as holy frankincense is a symbol of Jahdeh, the divine masculine immanent, the oil of jasmine is a symbol of Jah. Then spoke Ishael, saying, Behold, I have a gift for the mother, come as daughter. I bring you Queen Rose Oil, the mate of King Jasmine. Even as holy myrrh is a symbol of the divine feminine immanent, Jahnah, rose oil is the symbol of the divine female transcendent, divine feminine transcendent, Jalah. Miriam embraced Gabriel and Ishael, yea, she gave thanks for their good gifts. Miriam said, I will use these gifts to bless others. Then, behold, Miriam was no longer in El Cush, but was back in the garden of Mother Zibiah, where the holy girl had been gifting ants with crumbs of bread before being translated to El Cush. Lo, before the stay was over, the child Miriam gifted 7 others with the sacred gemstones from the Alephim and the holy oils from Gabriel and Ishael. The first gift was as follows. Miriam saw a man who appeared to be lost. Upon her inquiry, the man admitted that he was indeed lost, and he said that he felt weak and disoriented. Miriam gave him the red ruby, saying, Hold the red ruby in your hand and think of the sun. The man did so, and behold, as he became oriented to the sun, which is the center of our solar system, he became centered in his holy body, or in his own body, feeling balanced and at home. Then the sacred fire at the base of his spine was awakened. Yea, as the sacred fire rose up his spine, the man felt great power within himself. Behold, the man was no longer disoriented, neither did he feel weak. As the man gave thanks, Miriam said, Now that you have power, use it for good. Lo, one path of power leads to hell, the other path of power leads to heaven. Now that you are not lost, help others find the way. The man replied, I will pay you for your good service. Miriam replied, My help is a gift. Yea, you keep the red ruby, and when you see someone in need as you were in need, gift them the healing stone. Teach them to do likewise. May this healing stone pass from hand to hand, always as a gift. The man said, So be it. And in heaven most high, Jahnah said, The light is increased. Yea, let there perpetually be more light. O reader, who would have known that Jah and Jalah were watching? The enlightened know. Behold, Jahnah sees everything from heaven most high. Wherefore, from their abode in heaven most high, Jahnah saw the deed of Miriam, and saw that deed cause light to expand. Yea, Jah and Jalah see all things, and perpetually chant enchantments of blessings upon the mother ovum, as do their wizards. Miriam heard a neighbor woman crying out in the pain of childbirth. Miriam entered the home of the woman and heard the midwife say to Zibiah, Lo, she is having a painful birth. Miriam took from her pouch the orange spessartine garnet and said to the midwife, Hold this healing stone over her pelvic area. It will reduce her pain. The midwife replied, Yea, it was an orange spessartine garnet that graced the second prayer stone of Old Eden, even as revealed in the book of Enoch. Behold, that stone is linked to fertility and eternal life, which is the second of the Sephirot of the tree of life, as revealed in the book of Matana. Then the midwife held the gemstone over the pelvic area of the woman, and lo, the woman ceased crying in pain. The woman opened her eyes and beheld the gemstone, saying, I feel great relief from pain." All of the women in the room thanked little Miriam. Miriam said to the midwife, "Keep the gemstone and use it to help others." Behold, as Miriam exited the home of the woman who had now given birth to a healthy baby boy, the Holy Child saw a teenage girl sitting by a tree, crying. Miriam approached the older child and said, "Why are you crying?" The older girl replied, "I am so upset. The boy I like is playing with another girl. I feel angry and jealous and hurt." Miriam said, "Hold this healing stone in your hand and think of joy and peace." Miriam handed the yellow quartz to the girl. The older girl was so desperate to feel better that she did exactly as little Miriam asked. And behold, after just a few minutes, the older girl smiled and said, "When I think of joy and peace, I feel joyful and peaceful. And lo, the gemstone is warm in my hand and makes me feel happy." Miriam smiled and said, "Keep the stone and share joy and peace with others." Next, Miriam went for a walk. After a while, lo, she saw her father, Zamira, playing harp beneath a tree. She sat beside him for a while, enjoying his beautiful music. She said, "Father, you have a new harp. Lo, it is much smaller than your other harp." Zamira replied, "This one is for you, in celebration of your 7th year as my wonderful daughter. Behold, this smaller harp will be easier for you to carry. For I have noticed that you enjoy playing the harp in the garden, and lo, I have also noticed how hard it is for you to carry the big harp such a long distance." Miriam replied, "Father, hold out your hand." Zamira did so and smiled. Miriam placed the green emerald in his hand. She said, "This gemstone is my gift to you. It is a symbol of my love for my wonderful father." While carrying her new harp home, Miriam saw a Nasarean priest giving food to a homeless man. Miriam said to the priest, "Behold, you give all your life energy to your holy work. Wherefore I feel called to give you a gift." She gave the priest the blue sapphire that had been given to her by the Alafim. The priest said, "Holy child, will you feel hurt if I now use the sapphire to buy food for the poor?" Miriam replied, "I will not feel hurt. Lo, I will feel happy." After taking her harp home, Miriam walked to Bar Hesed's house. Bar Hesed, the wise Nasarean wizard in charge of Butterfly School, greeted her, saying, "I hope you are enjoying your birthday." Behold, earlier this day, Bar Hesed had gifted Miriam with a book of wise sayings. Now it was Miriam's turn to give a gift to Bar Hesed. She said, "I have brought you a gift." The Holy Child handed her wise teacher the purple amethyst, saying, "This is the wisdom stone. And lo, you, Bar Hesed, are the wisest teacher in our village." Bar Hesed replied, "Any wisdom I have, I owe to the breath of life that comes from Jah and Elohim. But in truth, my job in life is as much to be a jester as to be a wise man." Miriam said, "Your humility is a sign of your wisdom, but it is true that you are also a great jester." After sharing some good-natured laughs with Bar Hesed, for lo, he was a kind-hearted jester who did not laugh at others, but with them, to make them happy, Miriam continued her walk. For lo, she had one more gemstone gift to give. Behold, she let herself be guided to where she was most needed, and she found herself at the bedside of a young man who had been in a coma for many days. For behold, he had fallen off of a donkey and hit his head on a rock. And since the accident, he had not awakened. And beside his bed stood his mother, weeping. Lo, Miriam could see the young man's spirit hovering above the bed. She perceived that the spirit wanted to return to the body, but needed help. She gave the translucent crystal to the young man's mother, saying, "Hold this healing stone over the crown of his head." The woman did so, and behold, the spirit used the energy of the crystal to return to the body of the young man. Yea, the young man awakened and opened his eyes and said, "Thanks for helping me." The woman rejoiced and hugged the boy with great happiness. Miriam went home and slept peacefully. The next section is called Why Miriam Could See Fairies. One sunny morning, Miriam sat beneath a persimmon tree in her mother's garden. Lo, as Miriam gazed upon the flowers and herbs, she saw ripples of light. And she saw fairies and elementals, yea, and other creatures of Eden. Behold, when Miriam spoke to her mother about the garden life, Zibiah said, "I know that such creatures exist, but I do not see them myself. If you see them, daughter of my heart, you are specially blessed." Later that day, little Miriam sat in the garden by herself. As she gazed upon the garden life, a flower fairy smiled at her and said, "Behold, the queen of the all has come in the humble body of a human girl. And, like a little girl, she must be taught, for lo, she has come as human, not as goddess. Wherefore, she who wrote the book of life must now be taught from that book. And this is according to her own choice made before coming in flesh. I bow before the profound majesty of her humility." And then the flower fairy bowed to Miriam. Miriam asked, "Why can I see you, but my mother cannot?" The fairy answered, "You are at the center and see the things that are close to the center." Miriam asked, "If I am at the center and see the things that are close to the center things that my mother sees not, why can I also see what my mother sees?" The fairy answered, "Those who are at the center see near and far. But behold, amongst humans, your mother Zibiah sees much farther than most." The next section is called Miriam and the Dragons. Once, when Miriam was 7, she was harvesting some healing herbs for her mother in a meadow surrounded by a forest. As she worked, a bunny rabbit bounced happily near her feet. Miriam took the greens she had brought for her lunch and fed them to the bunny. The grateful bunny loved the greens and made happy sounds. Then, lo, the meadow shook and the wind blew hard. For from the sky a red dragon had come and landed not far from Miriam. The evil red dragon, without moving his mouth, spoke from his mind to her mind, saying, "It is best to pull weeds while young and tender, and you are a weed in my master's garden." Then, lo, the bunny hopped toward the red dragon as if to do battle. When the bunny had neared the red dragon, behold, the bunny changed itself into a golden dragon. And the golden dragon spoke in the mind of the red dragon, saying, "You have come before the appointed time. The time of our battle is not now, but in the last days. Even so, I sensed your violation of the ovum of this world and have come to protect the holy child." The red dragon was angered, but said, "I will withdraw until the appointed time. But know this, at that time, I will devour you and destroy all that you love." The golden dragon replied, "Your belief is not my belief. Yet all will be revealed in the last days." Then the red dragon took to the sky and departed. Behold, after the departure of the red dragon, the golden dragon became Abraham, the king of our son. He said, "The Abram of the Lord and Lady of each seventh heaven in the mother ovum has the power to appear in the form of a golden dragon. And the Sarah of each seventh heaven has the power to appear as a silver dragon. This power is given by the Lord and Lady, that we may stand against the red dragons and their evil master, the black dragon." Then behold, a silver dragon landed in the meadow, and the silver dragon became Sarah, the Sarah of our son. King Abraham and Queen Sarah, now in the semblance of human form, embraced each other. Then, lo, each of them embraced little Miriam. Now, Even though Miriam was goddess immanent, come as human, she was nevertheless a little girl and liked to play. Little Miriam asked Abraham and Sarah, "Will one of you become a dragon again and give me a ride?" Abraham and Sarah laughed heartily. Then Sarah said, "I will give you a ride, mother who has come as daughter." Lo, Sarah again became a silver dragon, sorry. Then Abraham waved his staff, and behold, a silver saddle appeared on the back of the silver dragon. The silver dragon lowered her head to the ground, and Abraham helped Miriam climb on. And when Miriam was safe in the saddle, the silver dragon took to the air. Little Miriam had a fun ride, and many residents of the nearby village spoke of seeing a giant bird in the sky. The next story is called Miriam and the Playful Water Fairies. One day, while sitting beside a pond in the forest, Miriam picked a drowning bug out of the water. Lo, one of Miriam's favorite stories in the Holy Megillah was the story of Ezra, the frog who rescued drowning bugs. It was that story that inspired Miriam to rescue drowning bugs. But on this day, the bug she rescued was not really a bug. It was a playful water fairy pretending to be a drowning bug. After Miriam rescued the bug, the little bug became a beautiful fairy and sang the following words. "The mother comes as daughter. She visits the fairy pond. The fairy is a prankster, playing games all day long. The fairies are of old Eden, and there they knew the dove. They love and serve Queen Jahnah, as they love and serve the lamb. But we fairies have a funny way of showing our great love. We love to play the entire day with our friends we dearly love." Then behold, the fairy spoke, saying, "Will you play with me and my friends?" Miriam replied, "I would love to play with you. But where are your friends?" Lo, the forest was suddenly full of fairies, and all of them wanted to play with Miriam. She played all day, then asked, "Do fairies ever work?" Her first fairy friend laughed, then said, "We tend the mother's garden. But even then, we play." All the fairies laughed and took turns kissing Miriam on her cheek, for lo, they knew the Holy Child must go home before dark. Miriam said, "Goodbye, fairy friends. Thank you for the wonderful day of play." The first fairy answered, "We thank you for saving that what you thought was a drowning bug. It was in reward for that kindness that we revealed ourselves to you." The next story is called Miriam and the Dark Spider. We got a few more stories to go. These are really good. So hang in there with me. One Sunday, Miriam climbed a tree in the orchard. The Holy Child sat on a branch and sang a beautiful song. Behold, above her head, in a web of his own weaving, was a dark spider. The spider lived in the tree because there were many fruit flies to kill and eat. For lo, the fruit flies fed on fallen fruit that was ripe. And though the fruit flies harmed not the spider, yea, and harmed not any other creatures, the spider enjoyed killing them and sucking out their blood. For this spider was a soul who was attracted to the tastes of a spider, which is exactly why he was born a spider. Behold, as the dark spider listened to the beautiful song of Miriam, lo, a gnat was caught in his trap, the web of death. On any other day, the spider would have quickly killed the gnat and drank its blood. But on this day, hearing the song of the Holy Child, the spider felt a stirring of compassion and released the gnat. At dusk, the Holy Child went to her home. For a few days after hearing Miriam's song, the spider had no appetite. But then, lo, the spider forgot why it lost its appetite. Yea, the spider forgot about the feeling it had when it heard the song of the Holy Child. On the day that the spider forgot about that feeling, that day the spider went back to his old ways. The next story is called Miriam and the Fisherman. One afternoon, Maor, a lion of Zion from the village of Eden, sat on a large rock beside the path that led to a fishing pond. This fishing pond was used by villages that neighbored a Nasarean village called Eden. Maor, being Nasarean, was not a fisherman. Rather, as a trusted lion of Zion, he had been asked by Zamira to watch Miriam as a secret guard. As Maor watched Miriam, as he watched, Miriam spoke to an old fisherman who was returning to a neighboring village. She said, "Did you catch any fish today?" The old fisherman replied, "Yes, I caught very many. Lo, this is the most fish I ever caught in one day." Miriam replied, "I am sorry that you had a bad day." The old fisherman scratched his head, wondering what she meant. For lo, had he not just described a good day? The next day, Maor sat on the same rock beside the path to the fishing pond. Again, like the day before, he witnessed the child Miriam speak to the same fisherman who was again returning to his village after fishing. Miriam asked, "Did you catch any fish today?" The old fisherman replied, "No, I caught not a single fish. This is the first day ever that I have come away without catching at least one fish." Miriam said, "I am happy that you had a good day." Like the day before, the fisherman wondered what she meant. Maor understood what little Miriam meant. Do you? The next story from the Holy Godspell, chapter 8, is called Miriam and the Boy Who Captured Lizards. It was on a hot summer day that little Miriam came upon a boy who was catching lizards. Miriam said, "Why do you catch lizards?" The boy replied, "It is fun." Miriam asked, "What do you do with the lizards after catching them?" The boy, who was not a Nazarean, answered, "I put them in a wooden box until they die. When they die, their bodies get stiff, and I think that is funny." Though the boy was bigger than her, Miriam was not afraid of him. She said, "What you do is very cruel. Behold, what if a giant enjoyed catching little boys? What if that giant took you away from your mother and father and took you to his house and put you in a wooden box? And lo, what if that giant left you in that box until you died and became stiff? What if the giant did all of this cruelty just because he thought it was funny? How would you like that?" The boy did not answer. Instead, he tried to push little Miriam to the ground. But behold, Miriam moved according to Zion, and the bully boy fell to the ground. Miriam took the wooden box in which the boy had placed several captured lizards and freed the captives. Yea, the lizards ran free into the tall grass, escaping the mean boy. The boy got up and ran toward Miriam, intending to tackle her. Again, Miriam moved according to Zion, for Bar-Hesed had begun teaching her the first movements. Once again, the boy failed in his attempt to hit her, falling flat on his face. Lo, Miriam never hit the boy. Rather, she moved out of the way of his attacks and let his own motion carrying him to the natural conclusion, the ground. The boy shouted, "I will quickly recapture these lizards and put them back in my box." Miriam said, "I can't stop you from getting another box, but these lizards will be long gone before you return with another box. For behold, this box you have now will never again hold a lizard captive." Miriam took the box and broke it into pieces. Later that afternoon, Miriam was in the garden of Bar-Hesed, her teacher, when the father of the boy came to request that she be punished. The father of the boy said, "This girl broke a wooden box that I made for my boy. She has freed lizards that belong to my son, and has also committed property damage by destroying the box. She must be punished." Bar-Hesed, who had already heard the details from Miriam, replied, "Behold, a kidnapper once came to a village and snatched several children. He took them and put them in a wooden box he had built to be their prison. Later that day, a man from the children's village came to rescue them. After rescuing the children, he destroyed the prison box so the other kidnapped children could not be placed in it. The next day, the kidnapper went to the police and told them the whole story. When the kidnapper said to the police, "Now go arrest the man that took my captives from me and broke my prison box," I ask you, who do you think the police arrested? Did the police arrest the hero who saved the children and broke the prison box of the kidnapper? Or did the police arrest the kidnapper? The father of the boy who captured lizards did not answer. He simply turned and walked away with a look of understanding in his eyes. The next day, the man brought his boy to Bar Hesed and asked, "Though we are not Nasarean, will you teach my son about kindness to animals?" Bar Hesed happily agreed to do so. After the lesson, the boy played with Miriam. She taught him how to save drowning bugs from the pond. The next story is called Miriam, the Field Mouse, and the Snake. One sunny morning, Miriam was gathering flowers in a field. She wanted to combine the beautiful flowers with the green vine to make a crown of flowers for her mother, Zibiah. After gathering the flowers, Miriam sat on a large rock to do her weaving. As she worked, the Holy Child sang. She sang of warm days, blue skies, and flowers of many colors. Behold, a field mouse heard Miriam sing. The mouse was charmed by her voice, yea, and knew that she was friendly and would not harm him. After listening to Miriam's song, the field mouse sang her a song. Although he had a very squeaky voice, Miriam thought his song delightful. He sang of gathering seeds and storing them for the winter, that his family be well fed. When Brother Mouse was done singing, Miriam thanked him and said, "You have a wonderful voice, Brother Mouse." Perceiving that the girl was wise, like unto the great Mother Mouse of the eternal harvest, he asked her to do something for him. He pointed with his tail toward a snake that was sunning itself not far away and said, "That snake keeps eating field mice. Just yesterday, he ate one of my best friends, the girl mouse I wanted to mate with. We field mice have never eaten a snake. In fact, we are vegetarians, eating no animals of any kind. Please, talk some sense to that snake." Miriam walked over to Brother Snake. The snake hissed at the little girl, expecting to scare her. But Miriam was not afraid. She spoke to him about kindness toward field mice. The snake hissed his reply, saying, "It is my nature to kill and eat field mice. If I did not, I would not be me." Miriam replied, "Behold, the caterpillar cannot fly. But when he becomes a butterfly, then he can fly. The soul within the butterfly is the same soul that was previously housed in the body of the caterpillar. The wise butterfly knows that he has gone through changes, but does not deny that he is the same soul that once lived in the body of the caterpillar. Now, you have the body of a snake, and that is no accident. Likewise, if you one day have the body of a field mouse, it will be no accident. Neither will it be an accident if you one day have the body of a unicorn." The snake replied, "God made me a snake, so God must want me to be a snake. And snakes kill for our supper. God must have intended this." Miriam replied, "Many people think like you. They look at nature and see the strong eating the weak and think that the Creator intended this killing. But that is wrong. Lo, Elohim creates souls, not body types. Then, according to the thoughts and deeds of each soul, the soul is clothed by the form that matches its deeds. Vicious souls will take on vicious forms, not because God intends it, but because vicious souls desire forms suitable to their viciousness. I tell you truly, no god or goddess created fangs or claws, Rather, Elohim creates souls, and souls create their own body types according to their thoughts and deeds. After Miriam finished speaking, the snake just hissed and went back to acting like a snake. But a seed was planted within the small mind of the snake. Perhaps one day the seed will sprout, and he will no longer be a snake. The next story is called Lessons in Kindness. Miriam and the boy who killed ants for fun, with a story about Isha. Miriam and another child new to butterfly school sat in the garden of Bar Hesed, the Gideoni. The other child, a boy of age 5, found an ant mound and began to smash the ants with a rock. The boy made war on the ants for play, but to the ants, the war was not play. For the ants, it was devastation. The boy killed the ants for pleasure, killing adults and children alike, smashing their tunnels and showing no mercy. The boy, who knew how to count up to 10, divided the dead bodies into piles, each pile with 10 dead ants. 10 dead ants. Bar Hesed, the master teacher of butterfly school, seeing the deeds of the small boy, approached and said, "It is good that you are learning to count. Lo, you are the best counter of numbers of any 5-year-old boy I have known. I honor your skill at numbers. You are a very smart boy. However, we will find something else for you to count, for behold, the ants are my friends. Because they are my friends, I protect them. You are a good boy and my friend, and I will always protect you, just like I am now protecting the ants. Yea, the ants are my friends, and they would like to be your friends. Be kind to them as you wish them to be kind to you. Do not be like the bad boys who harm insects and animals for fun. Lo, bad boys often grow into bad men, and that is not your path, not if this teacher has his way. Even so, you will choose your own path. Yet behold, your spiritual teachers, who in truth are also your best friends, will do our best to influence you toward goodness. Yea, and kindness is the foundation stone of goodness. Today I will tell you and Miriam a story about kindness. Behold, the story I will tell you is about Isha. She is the great soul that became the messenger angel of the Mother Earth. Long ago, at the beginning of this world, Isha lived on this world as a woman. This was before she became the angel of Mother Earth. Lo, it was how she lived her life as the woman that led to Isha's becoming the angel of Mother Earth. It was Elohim, our Lord Christ and Lady Christ, that chose Isha to become that angel after she was slain and ascended unto El Cush, sorry. For lo, it was a sad day when Isha, the green dancing green woman, was slain by Cain. But to show how Jahnah and Elohim can take sad things and make them into happy things, consider that Isha ascended to El Cush and became Isha El, the messenger angel of the Mother Earth. What a fun job she has. Yea, the job of Isha El is blessed work, but her work can be very sad. For lo, this is a world that fell from being a first heaven and became a contested world. The contestants being the heavenly beings versus the hell beings. Lo, since the days of the fall of old Eden and the raising of El Cush, most of mankind has been unkind to Mother Earth. And that is why, though Isha El's work is blessed, it can also be sad. For behold, it makes her sad to see creatures harm one another or to harm Mother Earth. But so that Isha El does not feel sad for very long, the Alephim and fairies make her laugh with good-natured jokes, songs, and much merrymaking. According to the great and holy prophets, in the last days of this world, the chasm between mankind and nature will grow so deep that men will look for life in artificial things. Yea, in those days, bad men will destroy the forests of the world and spoil the waters and desecrate holy air. They will poison their own roots for greed of money. They will think themselves smarter than nature, but they will be outsmarted. Even so, these bad men will wreak much havoc before they are defeated. But defeated they will be, is my affirmation. And my affirmation is an enchantment. And my affirmation is one with the affirmation of Elohim and Jahnah, and therefore will not fail. But you two children, though you live not in the last days, can help the heavenly beings win the battle against the hell beings. For though this war will culminate in the last days, even now the war on Mother Nature is waged. Wherefore, we Nazareans do not live in big cities and breathe spoiled air, but in the wilderness, away from the greatest spoilage. Even now the spoilage is spreading. Even now Isha calls for help. For lo, now is a time that many seeds of the last days are being planted in this world, and great souls have come to the contest. The story I will now tell took place a long time ago, back when Isha was still a woman of this world. Yea, this was before she became the messenger angel of Mother Earth. Yesterday, on your first day of butterfly school, I told you the story of Ezra the frog. You learned that in the original Nasarean Hebrew, based on the first tongue of Old Eden, Ezra means help. You also learned that one day, while walking in Cush, Isha needed help to save bugs from drowning in a pond. And so she prayed for help. And then who came to help? Barhesed asked the children. Miriam and the boy who had killed the ants both replied, Ezra came to help. Barhesed said, yes. Thus you learned that Yahweh can answer prayers. Today I tell you another story about helping. Behold, this story also teaches that Yahweh can answer prayers. This is the story of two animals who were told that they were worthless, but discover that they are very worthy. It is called Isha Helps an Old Hen and a Blind Horse. Lo, there was a hen named Old Faithful. For many years she had rendered faithful service to a farmer. Yea, she was named Old Faithful in honor of the fact that for more years than most chickens alive, she had laid an egg per day for the farmer and his wife, a seamstress. Lo, even when the other hens did not give eggs in the cold of winter, Old Faithful had an egg for the farmer and his wife. But when the day came that she grew too old to lay many eggs, Old Faithful overheard the farmer say to his wife, Old Faithful no longer lays many eggs, so we will kill her and eat her body. The farmer's wife agreed, saying, we will eat boiled hen tonight. It sounds delicious. The farmer agreed, yes, Old Faithful will taste delicious. We will kill her and eat her tonight. Lo, having heard these scary words, Old Faithful decided to escape. She hopped the fence, though she was old and had plenty of motivation, and headed for the hills. Old Faithful climbed halfway up the hill and became too tired to go on. There, at a fork in the trail, she sat and rested. Behold, near where Old Faithful sat and rested, there was a woman in green garb, speaking words of encouragement to an old horse. The story of the old horse is as follows. The name of this horse was Helpful Friend. For many years he had been the faithful friend and helper of a candle maker. Yea, it was Helpful Friend who had pulled the candle maker's cart to and from market and gave rides to the man's children. But now that Helpful Friend was old and blind, the candle maker decided to eat him. Helpful Friend overheard the candle maker say to his wife, the horse has gone blind and is now worthless except for meat. We will kill him and feast on his meat. The man's wife said, I agree, for lo, he can no longer work now that he is blind, and I love the taste of horse meat. Hearing this, Helpful Friend escaped and headed for the hills. Behold, using his memory of the trail, Helpful Friend was able to make it halfway up the first hill. But then he could go no further. For lo, he had never been any further up the hill and thus had no memory of the rest of the trail. It was then that Helpful Friend decided to pray for help. He said, I am blind and cannot see the trail. I need help." Just then, the woman dressed in green garb approached the blind horse. Her hair was the color of fire, and her name was Isha. She was the Nasarean priestess, and she loved animals. Yea, she even loved the blind old horse, helpful friend, knowing that he was not worthless just because he was old and blind. She spoke kindly to helpful friend, saying, "I will pray with you." It was then that the old hen, Old Faithful, sat down to rest near the green lady and the blind horse. The old hen explained her problem to Isha, and the old horse sang, "I am too old to walk, but I must escape the farmer. For behold, he wants to eat me." Then Isha, who could speak the languages of animals, said to the old hen and blind horse, "I have an idea." Isha sat the hen upon the back of the horse and said, "Blind horse, the hen will be your eyes. Tired hen, the blind horse will be your legs." And from that day on, it was so. Yea, the horse and hen escaped to the highest hill and lived happily ever after, in this world and in the next. Lo, for the remainder of their years in this world, each morning the hen flew up and landed on the back of the kneeling horse. Then she acted as his eyes and led him to a field where they could both graze. Isha, who often visited them in the forest where they lived, taught the hen and horse how to communicate with each other. When the hen tweeted once, that meant turn right. If the hen tweeted twice, the horse knew that meant turn left. 3 tweets meant stop. And what do you think 4 tweets meant? Asked Barhesed, the teller of this story, to his hearers, Miriam and the boy who killed ants. Together, Miriam and the boy shouted the same answer, "Back up!" Barhesed laughed and said, "You are right." And from this day on, the little boy who had killed ants never purposely killed another ant. For behold, in butterfly school, he learned about kindness. The next story is called Miriam and the Birds That Loved Her. Thanks for you all sticking with me. I know this has been a long one, but we have only a few more pages left. This is one of the last ones. I love these stories anyways. They are so good. Miriam and the Birds That Loved Her. Behold, one morning while walking beneath tall trees, the holy child Miriam found a fallen bird egg. The mother bird was frantic, crying over the egg in the way that birds cry. Yea, birds may not shed tears, but they have their own way of crying. Lo, they cry from their heart rather than from their mouth. Only beings who are in the light of compassion have ears to hear this cry. And this mother bird was crying more than ever before, for lo, her egg had fallen, but not cracked, yet she could not lift it back to the nest. Also, mother bird was in pain, for a mean boy had hit her with a stick and injured her wing. It was this boy who had knocked the egg from the nest when he struck mother bird with a stick. Lo, Miriam heard the cry from the heart of the mother bird, for lo, the holy child walked in the light of compassion. As Miriam looked at frantic mother bird, she noticed the injured wing. She noticed also the great beauty of mother bird, yellow feathers with chest of green. Miriam began to sing a song of healing. She sang these words: "Blessed be holy Raphael, angel of peace, angel of healing. Blessed be the teacher of Raphael, holy Ishael, angel of the earthly mother. Blessed be the holy tree of life. Blessed be all the angels. Blessed be the body of Christ, the servants of Jahnah and Elohim. Blessed be Yahweh. Blessed be the first family, the origin of the all. I call on thee for healing now. Heal my sister clothed in feathers. I call on thee for healing now. Heal mother bird's broken wing. I see her wing in the eye of my mind, healed, completely mended." Lo, as she sang, Miriam placed her hands over mother bird. Behold, mother bird became calm. Yea, she was filled with peace, and her wing was healed. Then Miriam placed the egg back in the nest and sang a song of blessing over the egg. Mother bird flew happy circles around the tree singing, "My wing is healed." Then she landed in the nest to watch over her egg. She sang to Miriam, "Thank you." The bird now knew that though some people, like the mean boy who had hurt her wing, were mean to birds, other humans like little Miriam were gentle and kind. Lo, once the egg was hatched, mother bird and baby bird often came to visit Miriam in the garden of Bar Hesed. The next and the final story of this beautiful chapter is called Escape from Ethiopia, the martyrdoms of Zemira, Maor, and Bar Hesed. Behold, the peaceful childhood of Miriam was visited by the violence of the ignorant. For lo, the Aaronites heard stories in the villages of a holy goddess child who performed miracles. Yea, they heard of many sick and injured being healed at the mere sound of the voice of the holy child. And these stories were true, for when the child sang, great healings occurred. Witnesses had seen a wilted flower come to life at the sound of her voice. But the Aaronites were jealous of the love the Ethiopian people had for the Nasarean child. Wherefore the Aaronites, being influenced by demons that are attracted to animal sacrifice rituals and flesh eating, claimed she was a witch or a demon. And they came at night and set fire to the Nasarean village of Eden, killing many. Behold, an Aaronite man threw a spear at the holy child, but holy Zemira threw himself between his daughter and the spear. Lo, Zemira was killed, but his sacrifice saved Miriam. For Zibiah snatched her daughter and ran into the night. Behold, just before the attack, the Holy Family had been awakened by the warning of two yellow-feathered birds with green chests. If not for this warning, Zemira would not have had time to save Miriam. Yea, and without this warning, Zibiah would not have been in time to snatch Miriam from the attackers. Even so, the birds wept near the body of holy Zemira. Not only holy Zemira was martyred on this night, but also holy Maor. Behold, when Zibiah lifted up her daughter Miriam and fled into the brush, an Aaronite man pursued her. Because Zibiah was carrying the holy child Miriam, the man gained on her. Lo, when the man threw his spear at close range toward the back of the fleeing Zibiah, Maor threw his body in front of the spear. He passed from the world with a prayer on his lips. Also martyred this night was Bar Hesed the Gideoni. The aged Gideoni ran like a young lion as he chased the 9 men who still pursued Miriam after the martyrdom of Maor. Catching the 9 men, he battled them using the Nasarean martial art called Zayen. Though mortally wounded by several arrows, Bar Hesed disabled each of the men. Holy Bar Hesed died knowing that Zibiah and Miriam had escaped. Lo, he also knew that he had previously instructed Zibiah on how to flee to Alexandria if it were ever necessary. Yea, he had prepared safe houses all along the route, knowing it might come to this. For many days, Zibiah went with Miriam from village to village, receiving aid from the good people of Ethiopia. Yea, the people fled and hid them, for they loved the holy child, and many remembered the words of the prophet. Behold, our queen shall be birthed from an Ethiopian woman. But the holy mother of our goddess will flee to Galilee, for the Aaronites shall slay her holy husband in Ethiopia, and will hunt her like an animal. And from that day unto the end of time, any Ethiopian who gives aid to the Nasarean remnant gives aid to our goddess and her holy mission. This aid is in deed and truth, and will not go unrewarded. And so the people, at risk of their own lives, helped Zibiah and Miriam to flee to Galilee by way of Egypt. In Alexandria, Egypt, Zibiah counseled with David the Yair and rested. Then she took Miriam by sea to the shores of Mount Carmel, then by foot to Magdala on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee. In Magdala, Zibiah and Miriam lived with Nasarean friends. Thus it came to pass that she who came into this world to be our watchtower, which in Hebrew is called Magdala, lived in the town of that name. For behold, the Magdalene is the watchtower of the flock, and we are the sheep of her pasture. Behold, little Miriam knew in the town of Magdala, used her voice to heal injured animals, as she had in Ethiopia, but not in front of witnesses. Yea, and she often sang to heal humans, but only from a distance, so that it could not be known that she was the source of the healing. For she remembered the jealousy and violence of the Aaronites in Ethiopia, and did not wish to attract their attention in Magdala. Miriam lived in Magdala until she was 16. For lo, when Miriam was 16, her holy mother, Zibiah, was killed by the Aaronites. Zibiah was a healer with herbs and by touch, but the Aaronites declared her to be a witch. Yea, the Aaronite priest who ordered her death called her the Black Witch on account of her black skin, and said that she practiced Ethiopian magic. With the death of Zibiah, Miriam escaped to the Nasarean encampment in India and lived there until she was aged 22. Most called her Miriam of Magdala, but by them who knew of her birth in Ethiopia, she was called Queen of Eden, in remembrance of the Nasarean village in Ethiopia in which she was born. Yea, and a few of the most advanced initiates perceived that Miriam was Queen of Heaven, but they kept this to themselves for fear of bringing worldly persecution upon her. After her time in India, Miriam traveled first to Ethiopia, then to other lands, healing and teaching. But she was never welcome to stay long, for behold, she was a woman speaking in public, which was considered to be a shameful thing, especially in that she spoke on spiritual teachings as though she had authority. For though she was a Nasarean priestess, few beside the Nasareans recognized the right of a woman to the priesthood. And her appearance startled many, for she was a black female with uncut hair to her ankles, possessing only 2 hemp robes, 1 bag of medicinal herbs and oils, 1 blanket, a staff, and the Holy Megillah. Yea, and she dared to travel with no man for protection, though she was of unsurpassed beauty. For behold, she was a lion of Zion. Lo, in her traveling, she suffered much verbal abuse and many threats. That, my dear friends, is the end of chapter 8. Takes us to the postscript of the childhood of Miriam, which we will read tomorrow. I know that was a long one, so thank you all for staying and enjoying that. Hopefully those stories were inspirational and helpful in your spiritual journey. Even these simple stories of little children learning kindness can be helpful for us, especially since kindness isn't taught this day and age, right? I love these little parables, these little tales and stories that we're going to hear even more of, especially as we actually get into the stories that Christ and Miriam shared along their journey throughout their mission. It's going to be really cool to continue reading. So tomorrow we will do the postscripts, all of them, to the childhood of Miriam. We're going to learn some cool things, some of the precepts of different people that were involved in Miriam's life. I'm really excited to share those with you. So that being said, it will be tomorrow. And hello to everybody in the live chat that has stuck around. Kyle said, so many stories. Exactly. But at the same time, those are the only stories that we have here of their childhood. And like the next stories that we have are going to be them much older. So there's so many that were left out. And it must have been hard for the Queen of Sheba to, narrow down all of the stories and give us the ones that were the most relevant. Otherwise, this book would be really, really big. It's already going to be really big. The 2026 version that is coming out has, I don't know how many, but at least 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe chapters that are going to be added to the Godspell. So it's going to get a lot bigger. So awesome. Again, I am Inanna, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll be here tomorrow at noon for the noontime peace contemplation and also for the next few chapters in the Holy Godspell. I hope that you have a wonderful day. May God and the Goddess bless you.